I'm still muted and I was started talking. Hi, welcome to another Shows That Made Us. Yeah, it was postponed from yesterday because real life stuff happens. Panel has real life. I have real life. So we're back here today and we're focusing, I guess, on the Rocketeer. I'm more coming at it from the point of view of how I saw it as a kid and what I enjoyed about it. Rewatched it yesterday and a little bit this morning. There's a lot more history that I don't know, and I got lucked out today, and I kind of gripped it clobbering times to join us. How are you doing today?
Hey, buddy.
Right.
Man, I'm absolutely happy to be here, man. I love the film and the comic and love hanging out with you, bro. So I'm glad to be here.
You know, we also have a common friend that we've lost recently this year that also loved this very much, and that was your friend Mark.
The great Mark C. loved this comic, the artist Dave Stevens, and of course the film. Yes, huge fan, massive fan.
Yeah, well, speaking of Rob, since we're bringing that up here right now, Dave Stevens, he only died at 52, right?
Very young, I think like 2008-ish or somewhere up in there, if I remember right. Real nice guy, great artist.
Yeah, I get that off my screen.
Very young. I did, unfortunately, pass very young.
He did. Supposedly what it says is that I think this is from March 30th, 2008. This comes from the New York Times, and he was a comic book artist as well as a commercial illustrator who created the actual hero Rocketeer and was famous for his 50s pinup style renderings of women. I guess that includes Betty Page as well, right?
Yes, he. As everyone who's familiar with Betty Page, as you know, she was a famous pinup model in the 50s, and he was such a fan, that he helped not resurrect the career. Obviously, by the 80s, she was not doing that sort of thing, but he repopularized her in a sense because he put her in this comic book, which even though it was a direct sales comic and only at comic shops, that made her very famous. And then launched a book called The Betty Pages, which because she's just she's beautiful. Everyone loved her, and really kind of rekindled the popularity of her work, even though it was at that point, but 20-something years old, 30-something years old,
Yeah, like I'm not very well in depth with the whole history of it, but I do remember the movie as a kid, and it was one of those things where it had the pinup style we're talking about, but not just with the women, just the way it was delivered as a film.
Yes.
It had an Indiana Jones kind of like attachment at the same time, and maybe that was Disney's intentions at the time, because I know Indiana Jones was somewhat becoming popular. Actually, it was pretty popular. Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
But I liked it. It's not something that we would get away with in this day and age with the way Disney's been going, especially with terminologies.
No.
And yeah. Do you have any favorite parts about this film? What do you remember the most about this? What is the Rocketeer?
I tell you, I love. There's so much. A couple weeks back when my buddy Flash and I were doing our favorite top 25 all-time favorite movies, I unabashedly have it on my list. I really just adore this film so much. It has that, like you talked about, a Raiders type thing, that throwback quality. It's undeniable. The old-fashioned, and it didn't do super well in 1991, which at the time, how we talk sometimes now like modern this and modern that, which I do like an old man. Even then, and I wasn't an old man. I was like, wow, no one likes the good old-fashioned stuff anymore. What's happening to people? Well, and I don't know. It was so old-fashioned in such a wonderful way. Everybody who saw it loved it.
But like that's the one thing when this movie when it opens up, right? Like when you get in the intro, it really has that classic feel like you're watching Untouchables or some kind of gangster movie, because it has this little weasel dude driving the car, another car chasing him. It's like down a dirt road. It's like because it's in a different type of field, and it's like, okay, this is going somewhere, and then it starts leading in, and then leads to the airport, and then it leads to our main characters over time, and it's like they don't do that type of delivery anymore. It's always like a high-speed chase or a high-speed robbery with all the tech and the fancy whistles, and it's like this was more simpler back then, but it was enjoyable because it captured the era, as well as the how far technology could go and the imagination of what technology could be. Is that about right?
Well, absolutely, and it was largely based. I don't know if you're familiar with a lot of the older movie serials. Again, Stevens really is. I mean, he was a little bit older than my generation, but not by a great margin. So, he just loved the movie serials. The old Rocketman. There was an old Commando Cody. The old Rocketman movie serials and things like that. And it's based on those old pulps.
Did it? This was this around the same time where Rocket Robin Hood was kind of a thing, or was that more of the '60s? Because
Rocket Robin Hood was the late '60s, was it not? I never got to see it, but I've heard about it. I never, never knew much about it. But that was a cartoon from the '60s. But I wouldn't rule out the possibility
right.
that he saw it, up there and everything. 'Cause, it did make a run here. I just never saw it down my way.
All right. But Kyle's asking what the Rocketeer is, but I'll give you a quick rundown from the article here. Pretty much, it was created by Dave Stevens. He passed away in 2008, and he was 52. The cause was leukemia. Oh, from complications from treatment for leukemia. Oh, damn. So in '82, Mr. Stevens, he created the Rocketeer as a backup feature in Star Slayer comic book. Published by Pacific Comics. Mr. Stout said that Mr. Stevens' inspirations for the comic were a combination of his love of the 1930s early aviation and the film serial hero Commando Cody and Betty Page. Like you said, the 1950s pinup, on whom he based the love hero's interest, Betty. So pretty much Betty was played by Jennifer Connelly as well.
Yes, they just changed her name to Jenny, but yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
And she's he when Star Slayer #2 came out, of course, no one knew about the Rocketeer backup. All we knew about was, it was a Mike Grell comic. It was Pacific Comics was relatively new. They had a Kirby series called Captain Victory, but there wasn't much to Pacific Comics yet. That was in the early days of comic shops. It's a direct sales comic. That means it was only comic shops. This was not widely distributed. And as you can see, you're looking at some of the pages there. He was a brilliant artist. He almost did very few other comic books except for covers because he was very slow and it took forever. So when that came out as a backup, I remember I couldn't wait to get Star Slayer #2, which took forever. I was working at the shop at the time, and when it came out, what is this thing in the back? The Rocketeer. What is this? And blew us away. The art was beautiful. The story was throwback and fun, and it really took the industry by storm and almost overshadowed the primary, even though it was only in issue 2 and 3 of Star Slayer, it almost overshadowed Star Slayer, which was a book I bought for a good while because I was a Mike Grell fan. Great backup. And again, considering, and I was telling you before we started, considering how few Rocketeer comic books were actually published before this movie came out, within 9 years it gets a movie. That's pretty amazing.
It is pretty amazing because you're telling me that, like you said, it didn't have many issues, but it was able to release to film much quicker than most properties we ever see, right? So
astonishing.
Astonishing, pretty much. So it's pretty much like it took itself was the Flash, and it was able to speed force its way into a motion picture.
Absolutely.
Apollome's Minion is in the chat. Quick, we're gonna say
hey,
hello.
Apollo.
We see Dad Man walking, of course, always a pleasure. Nearsighted Cyclops. I hope I'm saying that right. Kylock, we're gonna try to inform you as best we can, but it's definitely something that if you haven't seen it, it's worth picking up. It's a Disney movie from I believe 91 or 95. 91. All right, yeah, that's right. And it pretty much focuses on a pilot who literally sits on a device that later out turns to be a one-man jetpack. And it's pretty much, in a way, it's pretty much a battle. It's a race. It's a tech race to who can be a one-man Rocketeer in a way. But it wasn't actually called a Rocketeer until, I don't want to spoil it, but pretty much the owner of the airport or the owner of the shows at the airport coins it while looking out the window and seeing.
Yes, he sees the word pioneer. I love that.
It literally clever. The last 3 letters.
Yes, that was clever.
It was clever. Hi, Kate. We see you as well. But if you can find it, give it a shot. It's got to be on Disney Plus or something.
It is.
It is?
Yes.
Really? Is it the 30th anniversary or is it more of the original?
It's just the original film. I mean, I just saw it on there. In fact, I'm hoping there's going to be a 30th anniversary of the Blu-ray. A Blu-ray new. There was one for the 20th. I'd like to see a special. I don't know if it's going to happen.
All right, cool.
But it is on Disney Plus if you have that.
Well, then that's pretty much it. And from there, the movie starts progressing. It's pretty much he's a test pilot, I believe, at the same time.
He's a racing pilot. Yeah,
he is a racing pilot, and then he ends up having I don't want to spoil this anymore. I really don't. Let's just say
I got you.
Things start going bad due to whatever technical errors, and he's not only not realizing how good he has it with a girl that gives him all the attention, he's not realizing that there's more out there than just being a pilot. And He literally sits on a jetpack and he's like, "Oh, what's this?" And then it turns into like this is a military device, pretty much, right? It's military, it's government made, it's supposed to be top secret. They're trying to fight other countries, especially Germany at this point, because it's coming from, let's say, the Yahtzee point of view. And a simple mechanic is able to fix what other people couldn't. And the next thing you know, it starts along this great adventure of a one-man missile, as you were going to say.
Yes, absolutely. And again, I don't know if they have race. Yeah, Raquel. Oh, Raquel.
Yeah, Raquel, if you want to come on, let me know. I would be honored if you would like to join us about the Rocketeer.
I would love to see her. Yes.
I'm honored to see you in the chat as well.
Hey, number one. I don't know if they have. Do you think they even have airplane racing anymore? But I guess it was a thing back then in the 30s, 1938, which this film takes place in 38. So I don't know if they have that anymore. But yes, he was a pilot, a racing pilot, and and most of it didn't change from comic to film. They always change things, as you know, but they change a few things here and there. For example, I always got a kick out of how in the movie they just let it be Howard Hughes who created the rocket pack.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And
yeah, in the comic it was Doc Savage.
It was Doc Savage?
Yes. And but he let them believe it was he actually let them believe it. He let Cliff and Peavy at the end believe that it was Howard Hughes. He tricked them into believing it, but it was Doc Savage, the great Doc Savage. I'm a big fan of his, by the way.
Yeah, the Rocketeer is definitely a hero. It's definitely like it's pretty much an origin story for going from the movie standards. You find something, you fix it up, all of a sudden it works. You take a chance at a moment where you need to take that chance, jump off the edge, and he gets named, and it goes on down the road. I have a ton of work to do, but thank you for the gracious invitation just here to show my love and support. Thank you very much.
Thank
Raquel.
you. Love you, Raquel.
It was a pleasure to see you.
Absolutely.
But, yeah. A graphic novel came first, or pretty much the comics came first, and then in 9 years it became a motion picture for Disney as well as Touchstone and someone else. I remember it because I wrote it in the.
Yeah, it was Disney Touchstone. I think they're pretty much the same company at that point. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was a Disney. Yeah. And I could not have been more shocked when I heard there was going to be a film. To be honest with you, I was and elated, of course. But we used to, and in a joking way in the business, say, I wonder when the Rocketeer's coming out in 5 years, because Dave took his time with the comic, and he went through 3 publishers before he. I think maybe by the time he was on his 3rd publisher, there'd been a grand total of like 4 or 5 different issues, 6 issues maybe.
I think they also had a game too. They actually had I believe they had a video game. I believe for Moby Games it was SNES. Yeah, the Super Nintendo actually had a Rocketeer game.
Oh,
as well
I never got that. Wow,
you never got that?
No, and there wasn't a lot of merch for the film either. I have a few things, but I love the comic though.
Well, while I'm trying to find some screen caps to impress people, yeah, Timothy Dalton was another one to give a surprise. We also the Evil Time Lord, if you want to go that route, also known as Mr. Bond.
Mr. Bond, I love him as Bond.
That was actually his first run playing a villain on the big screen. It does suit him, especially Hot Fuzz. He was great too, especially when he was playing pretending not to be evil while being evil with the rest of the village. You've seen Hot Fuzz, right?
I love Hot Fuzz. I'm a Dalton fan, man. I loved him in Flash Gordon, which was sort of a baddie turned goodie in that, of course. I'm one of those who loves his Bond, and I wish he'd done it more. So, and again, great actor. And he almost, but I'm glad we got this, but I almost would, I don't know if I'm torn because this he went to do this instead of doing the next spot. He was supposed to do GoldenEye, and then it took forever. So he had to do other things,
All right, so I will give a quick rundown since Kyla probably has not seen this, is probably interested. In a nutshell, as I'm going to quote the Summer of '91 diary, in a nutshell, in 1938, an ambitious flying ace, Clifford, a.k.a. was played by Billy Campbell in the movie, and his trusted mechanic, Peavy, I can never say that name without feeling weird about, who is Alan Arkin, are looking to make their mark literally in the aerial races. So that's why it opens up at the airport after the chase of the stolen jetpack. We don't know it's a jetpack at that point. Pretty much looks like a vacuum cleaner with a helmet. It's really messed up. Only to find their hopes dashed when they literally have a crash landing of their finest plane. Then turns into this guy who stole the thing, hiding it within one of the plane cockpits. while Billy is trying to make sure and that he's okay. He survived, but the plane didn't. It's pretty much a wreck. But he really wants to be in the races, and he sometimes when he's doing all these practices for the races, he's not showing up for the auditions or the actual roles of when his girlfriend at the time is acting, which is Jenny. I'm very bad with diorama descriptions at this point.
It's okay, man.
But I'll try to bring it up quick. I'm going to close this. I hope I don't kick myself out. I loved Rocketeer as a kid. Josh, you're welcome to pop on as well. Lemon Pie, it was nice to see you. Yes, I do agree. Hot Fuzz was a riot.
Yes.
Yeah, but Cobrin, you have a lot more in-depth history when it comes to this than I do. What was pretty much your favorite point that actually got you interested in Rocketeer, not as the comic but as the film as well? And which one did you like better? The comic.
Well, I really do love the movie. I truly adore it, and but I was a huge fan of the comic. It just used to be a bit frustrating with the release schedule. Just for years, we would just go, "Wow, we're never getting any more Rocketeer comics." That's why I was so surprised. Again, as I said, that there was going to be a film when it was announced a couple of years before it. I didn't just never we would have expected it. So, and that's how unlikely this film getting made was. So I don't know. I just love them both, very much. I mean, there's slight differences between the two, but in a sense, I almost love the film more because there's not quite as much. Now, around 2011, IDW started doing new Rocketeer comics again, and I didn't pick them up. I think I picked up one or two. Again, nothing against them. They look like they're probably pretty good. I don't know, but I don't know. It's almost as if the film, because that wonderful James Horner score, although it's funny, that theme is wonderful, and some of his incidental music is it's like watching Star Trek 2. Because he rehashes some of his incidental music sometimes, bits other than theme, if that's what incidental music basically is for a film. And it's like wow,
Hans Zimmerman light.
Yeah, does he do that? I mean, because I'm hearing.
I'm guessing.
I'm expecting the battle in the Mutara Nebula of Star Trek 2 when I'm hearing some of the incidental bits in this film. But that's I'm just I'm not saying it humorously. I'm not really saying it's a bad thing. But the actual Rocketeer theme itself is almost, it's so heroic. It's beautiful. And this whole film, it's a feel-good film from top to bottom.
It is. It's not too violent. It's not grotesque. And the way it was delivered, it was action. It had science fiction. It had the fantasy, but it was also sci-fi. It had sci-fi and family feels to it. So you were able to not only nail a bunch of the nails on the head when it came to delivery of the movie, it never bored you.
No.
It's one of those formulas that we don't get at all today with the way we're constantly getting spammed with action movies when it does with superheroes or Marvel or DC, and they're only focusing on the tropes of whether it being too dark or being too what's the other word? Being too gritty or slow motion. And I'd like to welcome Gary. I hope he woke up. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, Gary.
Hey, guys.
Hey, man.
How are you doing?
Can you hear me okay? I'm in the car.
Yes, I can hear you fine. You're not pulled over, are you?
Yeah, I'm pulled over. I'm not driving.
No, I thought you actually got. Never mind. It was a police joke. You just.
Gotcha.
Oh, so you have a delay. Okay, I'll try to be best. A great '90s movie that belongs in the '80s. That works. It's actually true. Project Storytime says the opening shot is wonderful with the hangar doors opening in the title. Yeah.
Yes, it is really good.
Yeah, I really like that. And they actually came out, I think it was The Adventures of the Rocketeer, where he tried to pass it on to his daughter, and it was kind of like a 3D animated series.
Oh, boy, yeah. The new Disney cartoon, yeah.
I didn't watch it. And I'm out. Have a great night. Well, thank you, GoGo13.
Take care, Go.
Are you all right, Gary? How is it down there, wherever you are in your undisclosed location?
Well, yeah, I'm in Missouri, and it's been rainy as F today. So, but I'm going to be quiet for just a minute. I'm going to drive home, but I'm going to stay here in the thing. So, just expect me to be very quiet for at least 5 more minutes.
I'm not used to you being quiet. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone.
There you go.
Well, I thought you'd bone the show until next week, so I was like
No,
caught
I
off
said
guard. I'm like, oh
Thursday.
crap!
No, I said
So
no.
I
I
wanted
meant
to make sure to
Thursday.
jump in here.
Yeah, I said Thursday, like today.
Yeah, see, I didn't get that. I'm sorry, dude.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
that's no
sorry,
worries.
but yeah, let's. I'm ready to talk about some Rocketeer.
All right. Do you also you want to go home and we'll meet you then? Well, yeah. So this is impromptu while I'm eating a chicken burrito at the same time. So I'm trying
Nice.
not. I was starving. I had a migraine all day, and
Oh,
As
I
long
hear
as
you.
it's not a rice burrito.
a Reich burrito. Did you literally say an alt Reich burrito? Is that where you're going with this? Every
You
last every time
remember
I-
the my rice burrito you made fun of?
yeah.
Oh,
Well, that
rice-
was no.
rice
Mine was
burrito.
actually legit. I thought you said Reich. I was like,
Oh.
that's a funny joke.
I've never heard of a rice burrito before.
But as we go to the chat, sure, dude, get home and let me know and just pop on. Kylek says I'm watching the movie while watching.
Yeah,
your
I'm
stream.
just going to keep listening to you guys. You go ahead
All right.
and talk, and then I'll jump back in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Gotcha.
You know,
Kyle's watching it. Well, there you go. Watch it. I just watched it right before, and I've seen it so many times I didn't really need to, but after I got done with Global Geek Gang today, yeah, I turned it on and I watched it again and I never get tired of it. Never gets old. It's one of my favorites. So it was just always fun, man. Like I said, feel good, top to bottom. The movie's just
exactly.
wonderful.
And then when I started rewatching it, I started getting flashbacks when I was a kid, and then I remember the scenes. But when I went to IDMB, right when you saw the Twitter post, I tried to cut the 30-second trailer they used for promoting it. It was like the feel good movie of the year or something like that. You're like, I remember when that shit was good. And you can tell it was really bad cut and feels like it wasn't with a computer.
Right.
It felt really weird. But then I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this. And then I remember, oh great, we're playing the Ditz man who doesn't really realize what he has yet. And then I'm starting to see how the tropes are coming out. Fred says, I haven't watched this since I copied the VHS from tape I rented at Captain Video. Good time. Yeah, thank you.
I must have saw this. I can't even remember how many times I went to the theater to see it in '91. I loved it so much.
Kate says, hi, Jerry. Gary, sorry. And Nearsight Soul Club says, saw this for $2 on the big screen. Armed Forces Theater. When Jennifer Connelly showed up on the screen, she got catcalled. Well, of course she is. She was beautiful in that movie.
Oh,
especially that dress at the dinner scene where he's literally like trying to play as the waiter. That was great. Have you worked here long? Oh, I worked. I served you last week when you were here last time, and he's just like pouring soup.
You know, it can't be underappreciated that Billy Campbell was perfectly cast for this thing. He was absolutely Cliff Secord. He looked just like him in the comic, and he really did a wonderful job. They all did great. This is a wonderful cast. I mean, Alan Arkin's terrific. Obviously, Timothy Dalton's fantastic. Paul Sorvino. Jennifer Connelly's now, of course, wonderful. And the most interesting thing about the casting for me is the guy cast to play basically Rondo Hatton. I can't remember what the guy's name was now. The guy who played the Rondo Hatton type character. The guy who played Lothar. They named him Lothar after an old. That came from an old pulp. But the character that played the henchman.
Oh, the guy with the giant chin that felt like it came out of Roger Rabbit. Yeah, like honestly, he had the same type of feel.
There was
what was his name?
Well, there was an actor named Ron. There was an actor in a series of films in the 40s called the Creeper. He was a villain, and the actor's name was Rondo Hatton. They purposely based his look, made that guy look just like him as an homage to those films.
Oh crap! I didn't even realize this. The dude who played Max actually played Rom on DS9.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The guy who played.
I just saw the IDMB and it just clicked. It's like, okay, they're showing instead of showing his face, they're showing a side view of Rom on IDMB, and I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, Max Grodzinek or whatever.
Grodenchik.
I
believe it was Grodenchik. Yes.
Yeah, that was him. You're right. Ed Lauder's in this thing. Like I said, I forget the name of the guy that played the Lothar. I'm gonna have to find it. I'll find it, but
I'll bring this up right now. And I forgot. When we're talking about Howard Hughes, that's literally also the dude that was from
Harry O'Quinn,
the old man. Yeah,
Harry O'Quinn. I mean, yeah, he was great. And but have you ever seen what Rondo Hatton looked like? They made him look just like him. And again, those films, the Creeper films from the 40s, where he was it was kind of like a series, the Brute Man. And other types of stuff. I forget all the names of the films or whatever, but they made him look just like that guy on purpose.
Really? because I remember that guy's face, and I'm like, dude, that's really. They tried to make him look evil because he was pretty much in the other side of the world camp that pretty much we find out later on Dalton can speak that language. I'm not going to spoil it because actually Kylock's watching for the first time while listening to us talk, which is interesting. But we have Billy Campbell, we had Alan Arkin, Paul Sorvino, Terry O'Quinn. That's the one I was trying to remember. He was also from
Terry
Lost.
O'Quinn's, yeah, Millennium, Lost, and Terry O'Quinn. It's been a lot of stuff.
Eddie Jones. Like there were so many.
Eddie Jones.
Yeah, we also had Don Pugsley, Margot Martindale, and William Sanderson as Skeets. Skeets wasn't the one I'm thinking of, is it? No.
William Sanderson was in it though. I don't know if he was Goose or whatever. But he is in that for sure. Yes. And I was trying to find the name of the guy that played Lothar because I keep calling him Rondo Hatton when Rondo Hatton was the actor that they based him on. Let's see. I'll find it though.
All right, cool. Will Gentry, nice to see you. I'm glad you look great. Hit me up on Twitter when you have a chance, sir. I would love to ask you a favor for tomorrow. Other than that, The Rocketeer was a very entertaining film to my child mind. I think it was for a lot of us, and I loved it. And I agree with you fully. And then quickly, before I hit Roger H's super sticker, which is probably a thumbs up, Steve Mitchum, nice to see you here, says Terry O'Quinn was also in Tombstone and an episode of Next Gen. Really?
That's right. He was Riker's former captain.
Oh, when the Prometheus came to dock or something. Yeah, okay, cool. And Roger H with the 199 thumbs up. Thank you, sir. I appreciate finally getting a thumbs up from the great Roger H himself. And with that, I will give you... There you go. A little bit of Thundercats for you. Thank you, sir. And I hope you're having a lovely evening. I hope everyone in the chat is. But right here we see this is Billy Campbell. This is pretty much our main protagonist. He is also the one who finds the rocket and eventually goes on this nice hero's journey. And you have to remember the date that they're trying to portray. There's not a lot of tech. So seeing it and hearing about a rocket man or a rocketeer or the flying man, all these weird ass names you're trying to come up with. And all when they did that newspaper, all the news reporter scenes, remember they're all jumping in the cars and they're all trying to rush to the phones and they're all trying to just get the story out. It was great.
Tiny Ron Taylor, that's who it is. The guy's name, Tiny Ron Taylor, was the guy that played Lothar. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go ahead. Soul Assassin says, I have to rewatch The Rocketeers. I haven't seen it in years. Dude, do it. You're missing out. I loved it. I watched it. I watched it a little bit again this morning, but I couldn't remember anything because of the migraine. I was just trying to keep steady. That's why I was quiet. But it is worth watching. And Kylock, I hope you have fun with your first time ever seeing it. That's something a lot of people wish they could do again. The guy who plays the main character is a good-looking guy, so I assume they made some woman go, woo! Lol, but that's the guy that seems to fit the role.
Well, the guy, Tiny Ron, also was on Deep Space Nine. Mm-hmm. A lot of people. Well, there were a lot of, well, he only passed away a couple years back, too. So big, tall dude. Tiny Ron, there, I remember him on Deep Space Nine now. Wow. But, yeah, it's weird because I don't know why I call him Rondo. That's the actor he's based on, but I just always call him that. Strange.
That's fine. Did you find what you were looking for, by the way, or should I just keep? Yeah, there we go. That's Peely. And there we got
PV Alan Arkin. Yeah.
I don't like the name Cliff though. For some reason, the name Cliff was just a weird protagonist name because I kept expecting a giant red dog to appear. I'm sorry.
One of the things I liked was they had that they were so faithful to the comic visually in so many ways. But
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But first of all, I agree with Project Storytime. But Steve mentioned Bailey Combs also next gen. He played Picard's son, didn't he, in one of those episodes?
No, he actually played the outrageous O'Connor in the first season. Billy Campbell, by the way.
Oh, okay, Billy Campbell or Billy Connolly.
Yeah, Billy Connolly was a different actor. I think he was like a comedian. Billy Campbell is the Rocketeer, and he was in one of the early episodes of the first season of Star Trek: Next Generation the title character of that episode, the outrageous O'Connor.
Oh, see, when it comes to people connected to stuff like this, like I said before backstage, I'm not very knowledgeable with the history of it. I can just talk about what I love about the film in general, and it was pretty much one of my favorites as a kid. It was just something I can always turn to. Soul Assassin says Project Starry Time. Good to know. Here's a thumbs up. Yep, yeah. As you were saying before I cut you off, we have Rugo Beta. I don't think I've ever seen him in the chat before, but hail
Welcome.
to you and welcome. Billy Connolly was a Scottish comedian, very funny man. I'm definitely gonna have to look that up, Will, because I love comedians.
He was a funny man.
All right.
I'm saying was. I hope he's still with us. I don't know.
I'll check for you.
Is there really?
No, go ahead. You had something you wanted to share.
No, you had. Oh, I was just talking about Rondo Hatton. I thought it'd be funny to show him. I can show you.
All right, go for it. And Gary, you back on the screen now?
Yeah, I'm trying to get this thing to work here. Hold on. I'm on my earbuds, and for some reason, no audio is coming through them.
Okay, we can still hear you, though. I'm pretty sure Josh says every actor that was active in the late 80s to the early 2000s was in an episode of Star Trek.
Yeah, sure.
That's pretty much it. But that's true. We even had some, like, I know Wei Yun wasn't just Wei Yun. He was also in Enterprise. That
was Jeffrey Combs. He was in more Star Trek than anybody who ever lived as multiple characters. He might have the record, or he's close.
Billy Connolly is a Scottish comedian.
Yes, a very good one. But as far as Jeffrey Combs, who played Wayun and many other characters, including Shran, he could have played more different aliens in Star Trek than anybody. He may not have the record, but he played a bunch.
And before we get into it, Dadman Walking with a 199 super chat says, "You are a natural interviewer, leading panels. Keep it up. I'm honestly shaking in my boots right now."
Oh, you're doing fantastic.
Thank you very much. I want to go to bed. And Mr. Dadman, for that, I will give you. But yeah, one thing I've noticed with a lot of like IDMB and other stuff, they use a lot of the black and white photos, I think, from the set than they do the actual color photos of the film itself for screen caps. And I'm still trying to figure out why they did that so much. There we go.
Yeah, old Paul Savino. I can't remember the actor to his right on our left, but that guy was in Midnight Run. That's all I remember him from.
It's either John Lava.
He was also in The Untouchables.
Oh, okay.
And that set is based on, again, Frank Lloyd Wright's house in Los Angeles, the Ennis Brown house,
nice.
Famously used in Blade Runner.
Nice.
Oh, and you've met Clobber before, Gary. And Gary,
we have met.
Of course, we're friends.
We're friends. Bubs. It is always great to see you, man.
All right.
It's always good hearing you.
Yeah, Rugo Beta said, I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, correct me if it's Beta or Rugo Beta. It's probably some kind of playable where it says this version was a lot tamer than the graphic novel. I can agree to that.
Oh, they cleaned it up a lot for the film.
Well, it was Disney, and they for example, changing Betty to Jenny and making her an actress rather than a pinup model would be one thing. And like I said earlier, as I was talking about earlier, how they changed some of the changes from the comic, which before it was ever a quote-unquote graphic novel, the backup of Star Slayer. Howard Hughes was not the inventor of the rocket; it was Doc Savage.
It was Doc Savage.
Things
that's
like
right.
That. There was even a later story where they insinuated that the Shadow was in it, but without actually saying Lamont Cranston or Canaller's name. But yeah, because again, he loved movie serials and pulps. Dave Stevens. Dave Stevens was a great artist. It's just he took forever, and because of that, other than Rocketeer, he really did very few interiors in comics. I mean, very, very few. So
yeah, honestly, I want to read the comics now after what Clobber said.
Going back to one thing though, Stephen, is the villain in the story. I forget his name in the comic and movie, but he's based on Errol Flynn.
Yes,
really.
Neville Sinclair.
Neville Sinclair. It's based on a rumor that went around that basically everybody said was bullshit. That because Errol Flynn was a huge patriot. And he had a friend who was a Nazi sympathizer. Whoa. And so a lot of people thought that, or were spreading rumors about him at the time. This is like in the late 30s, like right after he got back from the Spanish Civil War, which he covered as a correspondent and actually went under fire while he was there in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
But he came back, and come to find out, a lot of it was done as a publicity stunt for Warner Brothers, and because the entire thing was funded by Warner Brothers, the entire trip, and a lot of publicity photos taken with both sides in the Civil War.
No way.
You know, he wasn't picking sides. And he comes back, and of course, like I said, I forget his friend's name, but he was a Nazi sympathizer. Rumors started being spread that he was a Nazi sympathizer, and that's where St. Clair comes from, is from that rumor, making Errol Flynn the villain of the comic and film.
Yes, and it made for
That's
a great
crazy.
movie villain, but it's a shame that it was based on, you know, a bad rumor about smearing someone's name.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't matter because it's fucking enjoyable.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, for a movie.
Yeah, I mean, in the movie, I just forgot his name. James Bond actor.
Yeah, Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton.
Yeah,
was amazing as Sinclair.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's dashing. He's dashing just like Errol Flynn, and it's such a good film. And it has so many great moments of tension between the love triangle between
it really
Jenny,
is. Yeah,
who was like you said was Betty in the comic, but Jenny in the movie, and of course our hero. And the scene at the cabana is one of the best cabana scenes since the 40s with Abbott and Costello and Bob Hope and Bing Crosby.
yes.
Before I interrupt you, we're gonna bring on Jace. Jace is popping because he actually watched the movie.
Oh, I don't like Jace.
Okay, well then we'll bring on his unpaid intern Chris. I don't think you've met him yet, but he also enjoys it. So, hello, unpaid intern. We still can't pay you. And should I bring in Jace, unpaid intern, or no?
I mean,
go ahead, do it.
As
long as it's not Jace.
The interns don't get much power. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I mean, if my boss isn't in here, I get fired.
How do you get fired? We just hire you over here. We don't pay either.
I know.
Hi, Jay.
Hey, Hi. Chris.
Hi.
I can hear the anger in the voice right now. He's like, now, before we get back into this scary dude, I would like to say this show is sponsored by Skelebetus. When you're out of He-Mans and all you do is eat hot dogs, Skelebetus. Don't do that.
Yay! Now this guy's makeup, as I recall, was done by Rick Baker for the movie.
I believe so. Yes, and again, no one even. It's funny. Even at that time in 1991, very few people remembered these films that this called the Creeper series or whatever, these horror films, whatever in the 40s, or who Rondo Hatton was. And I just got so in the habit.
Rondo was in a Sherlock Holmes with Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce.
Exactly.
He played the Strangler.
The Strangler. That's right. He did. And again, I just got into the habit of calling him Rondo, even though it was Tiny Ron that played, Lothar, and they didn't even call him Rondo in the film either. But I just always, I don't know why. I just got used to it, calling him that. But
he has the same aesthetics. If you guys remember the film, what was it? I can't remember. The old man with the balls that killed you. Phantasm. Remember Phantasm? He had the same type of feel to him as well, but he was more like from it's like he jumped from Phantasm into Indiana Jones, got new makeup, a new outfit, and then came over here. And it had that same type of feel when you saw him, because he would bend a man in half, literally.
Yeah, in the movie he did, yeah. I mean, basically he suffered from the male version of permanent bitch face.
I like that one right there, right above. Yeah, then there's the one right above. He was so freaky, nice. Especially up close. I love the hospital scene. I'm trying not to spoil it too much because Karlock is on his first watch through, but yeah,
that is really when he gets up in his face. That is one of the few times that the makeup is given away. That's not his mouth.
I will say,
if you watch that scene again,
I will say I really love. I love movies that go back in time a little bit with things. Do period pieces like in the 40s or the 30s. I love the look of technology. I love the look of the costumes, the clothing, everything. It just looks fantastic when they do it just right. And this movie does do a good job with hitting that 1930s feel, the pre-World War II feel. And the way that they get this guy to look like this goon
Rondo,
here for the SA. This goon for the SA, he looks great.
Yeah, it was a cool idea.
And you know, another actor who I think deserved a nomination for Best Supporting Actor is Alan Arkin.
He was great.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Who was that comedian that always used to change the voices and tease actors, and he did it to Alan Arkin all the time because Alan Arkin's
it was the guy who does Captain Kirk.
Pollock. Yeah, because he would do Kevin one where there was one skit, right, where Arkin always sounds the same, right, especially on his voicemail. So what he would do is he would call Alan Arkin's voicemail and leave a message going, "Hi, Alan. This is Alan. Don't forget we're going to have the Wright brothers over next week for dinner." And then he would call you. Pollock would get a message back, and he'd be like, "That's not funny. Stop imitating me," because he would often call Paul Reiser. He called Paul Reiser and set up a play date. Oh, dude, it was hilarious.
Well, the best one was when Alan Arkin was on Larry King.
Mm-hmm.
And King had given Kevin Pollock the back number to call him at any time. So he called that number as Alan Arkin. And they had him on, and Alan Arkin just sort of ducks his head and just shakes his head. He goes, "You have to stop this. You have to stop this. I want my life back."
You've taken my soul.
So there is actually a picture of all the pieces that they used to make this guy's face in the movie. Here, I'm going to send it.
Yeah, I think I have one here. Let's see.
Yeah. Oh my god.
This one here? Or?
No, I posted a picture in the chat.
Oh, okay.
You're the private one, yeah.
Whatever, private chat. What are you doing, private?
Our private chat that we have here, you know.
Oh man, what are you showing me right now? What is this? It's not a dick pic, is it?
It's Chase's.
Why is it not open? Oh shit, dude! You're gonna like the chat with this one. I'm sorry, guys, for taking so long. I'm just gonna quickly add this, and then we're gonna bring it over, and it's called the weird ass face butt plug. It looks like a peeled banana with lips. That's what it kind of looks like. That's a lot of people.
Oh, that's crazy. Right?
That's insane. That's really
nice.
insane.
Yeah.
So, since we have this here, Chris, you seem to be a huge fan, and we'll get to Jace right after. Hail Ords, how are you doing? Hello, Six. What is your favorite part or thing related to the Rocketeer, and what made you like it so much? Was it the graphic novels or the comic books, so to say, or was it the movie first?
I mean, to be brutally honest, I haven't had much experience with this. I mean, the movie, the last time I saw the movie was years and years and years ago. So, I mean, rewatching it the other day was probably the first time I ever seen it in so long that it's kind of like a new, fresh experience. I knew of the Rocketeer. I just really don't know about him entirely. But I will say I do like the thing that I liked most about it is I did like it being a period piece. I did like it taking place back then. That's the one thing I kind of like the most, because you don't get to see that as much in modern days. Everything is in now in this time period, instead of seeing old stories from back then, seeing what they did, how they imagined how it could have been, what it could have been like. So I mean, Howard Hughes developing a rocket pack and prior to World War II and being influential and having Nazis trying to steal the technology from him. It's a fun story.
I agree with that. And Ord's Board says, I love the Rocketeer game for SNES. It was, what was 6? What is this? 6 is spamming the new emotes, and the Crisco one was just ad. Yes, I've never played the game, but I've heard it. Was it fun, Ords, or not?
I didn't even know it was a game.
Super Nintendo actually had a release. Clobber didn't know either, but I don't think he was much of a
I never had it. I knew about it, but I never bought it. So
I didn't check it out. Let's see here.
Now, while we're doing that, Jay, same question. Have you seen any of the comic books or just the movie? And if
I have never read the comics, but I always wanted to read the comics, so I am actually gonna pick it up and read it. And no, I have really much the same opinion as Chris there when it comes to like how the movie was and everything like that. I love the time period. I love the suits. The suit is my favorite thing in the whole movie. It's like it looks so fucking fantastic. It's like it's simple but not simple, and it just has this good vibe, you know.
It definitely would be interesting if we see more movies like this. Like take superheroes that we've been sticking so much in modern times and actually pushing them back into the 1930s, 1940s, having Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, anything like that of that nature in that time period.
Yeah. Also, I have
sadly things that are done today will most likely be done in an anti-patriarchal way and
oh yes, definitely
basically gender swap the hero because it can't be a man.
Well, it could be a man. It's just that he's going to be a klutz and he's going to need the woman to help him.
Really?
Well, supposedly the new updated Rocketeer that Disney is.
Oh, yeah.
That show.
Disney Junior is yeah. It's on Disney Junior.
Ew. Are you talking about the cartoon?
It is.
Yeah. It is. It's a child cartoon. Isn't it like the daughter or something?
Yeah, it's being handed to the daughter, and they even redid the whole scene with the doors opening from the airplane hangar, and it's like I'm watching the Wreck-It Ralph girl that was played by Sarah Silverman or voiced by Sarah Silverman, and then it's the Rocketeer. I didn't even want to watch the series. I could not get into it. I just didn't like the animation. I didn't like where they were. It was basically a gender swap, or to say they basically already gender swapped it. Disney ruined it and dumbed it down with the Rocketeer.
It's more than just his daughter. It's his great granddaughter.
Either IFPMS or everyone I mod is shitting on me. I wasn't shitting on you. I was saying, hey, you're using the icons. That's no. I mean, you're spamming it in a good way. I like the fact that people are using the channel emojis.
It looks like a fun fact about the actor who played a Rocketeer. His wife is Norwegian. What?
And there's Project Storytime. He was
Josh
begging for an invite. So
I was so lonely.
Yeah, he was lonely because
So you
were sitting back there saying, "I'm so sorry."
I'm not singing that lyric. But Clobber, you have something for me. What is this?
Just a little bit of art from the comic, from Dave Stevens. A little background info. Of course, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, it first appeared in Pacific Comics Star Star Slayer #2 by Mike Grell.
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
By the way, who's in charge? Who's gotten ownership of Rocketeer right now?
Well, since Dave Stevens has been gone, I know IDW is doing a comic on it. Whether he left it to some errors or not, I don't really know the info on that one. But I do know that, as I was saying at the outset to Steven, it's so amazing that this film gets made, considering there were so few comics. Remember, there were only about 5 or 6 issues for in 9 years. It took forever.
Wow!
It passed down. It was in. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go. I was gonna say. Six says Gary sounds like he's talking through a ball gag. I don't know what that sounds like, but I'll take your word for it. It's made really awkward.
3 different publishers, and Dave Stevens. Again, a little bit of background about the comic. Marvel. If Marvel Comics had their way, there wouldn't have been a movie, because they tried to screw Dave Stevens out of this character, but with a stupid lawsuit in the mid '80s. And again, this everyone has to bear in mind this was not a nationally distributed comic. It was comic shops only. It was direct sales. In the back of Star Slayer, it was buried in the back, and it took forever to come out. And then it was it shared a mag with another book, a DC, like a Pacific Comics Presents book, and then it had a one-off, like 3 different publishers, only a handful of comics, 5 or 6, and Marvel had decided that they own the name Rocketeers because about 10 years or so previous, in a Marvel Premiere magazine with starring a character called the Torpedo, there was a group called the Rocketeer Gang or something like that. So, of course, greedy Marvel lawyers saw that this was popular, and they probably heard that someone was trying to get a movie made. This is mid-'80s now, so they go after them with their lawyers. And of course, how do you beat a gigantic? Even though Marvel was in trouble at the time, they were still bigger than one guy, and they were going after trying to strangle it out of him. And then a buddy of mine discovered a DC comic, a Detective Comics issue, which issue eludes me at the moment, on the cover with characters called with the words Rocketeer in the title, the character, the Rocketeer something or other. And he sent it to the Comics Journal. And this is, no internet or anything back then. And Marvel was shown that they had no claim to the character. They weren't the first to use it. And DC at the time didn't have any claim on it either. So that's why that's what saved Stevens from the lawsuit.
So this is basically like what Marvel did with Captain Marvel.
No, it's not really much like that because Marvel paid about $400-$4,500 to get the name Captain Marvel from a company that had only the name had gone into public domain when Fawcett went out of business, but another company picked it up and they ended up scooping up the right, not public domain, but they ended up scooping up the rights, and they only did like 2 issues, and Marvel paid them some money because they were, I forget the name of the company. It was very small. Couldn't really afford to do much anyway with their dumb android they called Captain Marvel that took its body parts off. Yes, it's true. And Marvel paid for the name. So they actually paid for the name of Captain Marvel. This was them trying to steal this character because they were a bunch of jerkballs.
So Marvel didn't really change much.
No.
And another cool thing is that the actor actually lives in Norway today.
All right, I'm gonna ask nicely real quickly. Whoever's like mic and clicking is going on, can you mute your mic just for a second because it's really adamant. I don't know whose that is. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, but it was just like, yeah, it's drowning out some noise.
No, but he lives in Rygge in Norway.
Who's that? Billy Campbell?
Cool. Yeah, he lives in Norway in Rygge, and that's pretty sweet. That's pretty cool. I did not expect that.
Wow.
But I still follow him as an actor. He does a lot of Canadian television.
Yeah.
Apparently he's going to be doing another Star Trek Prodigy that's coming out this year.
Supposedly that does have hope, though. I've heard people talk about, especially people are very very critical of Star Trek. I think it was Robert Meyer was actually saying that the people who is the clicking right now?
I don't know. I'm not clicking.
I don't know.
I can hear it. I'm just wondering where it is. So I'm muting people to figure out where it's coming from. Sorry about that. It sounds like someone's asking for help from the basement. Help. I need out. But I think it was R&B that was saying that Prodigy actually has a chance to be successful because of who is on the writing team and who is actually giving, I think, advice on how it's being done. So I think Prodigy actually has a chance, and it's actually one of the alien races that are on that promo poster is actually one of the races he actually came up with himself.
Oh, a lot of Star Trek has not been favorable lately.
No.
Josh, you haven't said anything, and you were saying you like the Rocketeer, so.
Yes, I have not read any of the comics. When did that start, Globby?
No, 82. It was in the
82.
Star Slayer #2. Yeah, and then So.
Okay, I will definitely have to check this out. But I remember going to the theater as a kid and seeing it, and the whole Art Deco vibe of it was just wonderful, and
what is that style?
I love the whole idea of just this bizarre backpack that can make him fly that should burn his legs to crisp, but whatever.
I mean, leather can do anything.
This is true. It's true.
Are you telling me you've never worn a pleather from Hot Topic and it's indestructible? You've never worn not a single piece?
No comment. But the music, it's such an innocent little story. It's so simple. And you also have the weird scene with the soup, which shouldn't that have risen to the top almost immediately?
The stoop.
Go on. Did we kill someone? Are you alive?
I don't know.
Well, I was stupid and went silent.
That it captures the high adventure of what even Raiders capture. It has that same feel.
Yes, yeah, it's in that same vibe of Raiders. It's a good analogy.
That's what we were talking about before, actually, because it kind of felt like Indiana Jones kind of jumped properties. They decided the jetpack.
Well, you had Joe Johnston. Joe Johnston was the he worked for George Lucas for years doing production art, and so when he went over to do this, I guess it wasn't a surprise that it would have that George Lucas feel to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because of Joe Johnston.
Instead of archaeology, he becomes a plane jockey,
plane racer.
Yep. Yeah.
But Cloud, what you got here? It looks like I'm seeing. This is the Betty Page stuff, right? This came from Dave Stevens.
Yes. This was from one of the early issues. Again, as I said, that he helped resurrect something of a career in the '80s for Betty Page with his the Rocketeer comic and the magazine, that he and Greg Theakston started called the Betty Pages. And it really put her on the map in terms of, obviously she was much older at that point. And it helped the lady. They really wanted to help her, have something of an income, and get her some of her popularity back there because they were really big fans. And they did. And she really she's such a big name now because of what Dave Stevens and Greg Theakston did for her. The Rocketeer comic first, and then, of course, the Betty Pages and stuff like that. There was even a movie made about her at some point. So, but they really kind of resurrected her. I don't want to say career because she didn't go back into doing that. She was much older, but they kind of really brought her to the forefront with that, with that comic book. And obviously, Jenny is based on Betty, but with a different type of career, Disneyed out a little bit. But yeah.
We can say it not just energized the Betty Page in general, but also kind of in a way immortalized the image of a pinup girl, because everyone, mostly when they think of Betty Page, they think of a pinup, or when they think of a pinup girl, they think of Betty Page. Whoa!
It's not new.
I know. I have that picture too in big form, and I'm just like that. Like she always looks that sexy.
And the cool thing is that the suit in the movie and the comics are so accurate.
Oh yeah, that was really
it's
good.
Super accurate. That we don't see that much often anymore.
By the way, there's
Dave Stevens is a realistic artist. He went to the same kind of school of drawing that I went to, because all the comic work I've done, I'm not a comic book artist. I'm an illustrator, and that's what Dave Stevens is.
Yeah, he did very few interiors. I mean, did some covers here and there, but very, very little. We used to joke about him it took forever for this comic to come out. I mean, forever. It was just so slow.
Oh, I remember back in the 80s waiting for it.
It was, you're like, when is there ever going to be another Rocketeer? Probably not. Then we get a movie. It was this, by the way, Star Slayer #2, the first which it appeared in the back of. And again, I love Mike Grell, so I couldn't wait for this. It took forever for this comic to come out. And then when, like I was telling Steven earlier, when I picked this thing up and read it, and it was pretty cool. And then I get to the back and I'm like, what is this? The Rocketeer. And again, it's just extraordinary I know that I don't know who got this film pitched to Disney to get it made. I'm sure someone here probably does. It was Bilson and DeMille, or those guys who later worked on The Flash or something. But it's amazing to me, as I said earlier, because this was a direct sales comic, a very obscure publisher, few issues, how this movie got made just always astonishes me. And I'd like to know how, but I'm sure glad it did.
Kate says it's cheesecake.
I think the way it looked.
Cheesecake.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the artwork.
Yeah,
was
I'm
so
talking about
good.
how it got pitched, how it got to anyone's attention is what I mean. But yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I think a lot of those guys are as big of fans of comics that were working in film at the time. I suspect George Lucas was as well. But Joe Johnston is an artist, and I know for a fact that he was a fan of the comics that Dave Stevens did. I don't know who pitched it, but I guarantee you that a power behind it was Joe Johnston.
Yeah, probably so. Like I said, and yeah, I believe that because, like you say, he's a comic book with him. Because if you look at this scene right here, this is from the comic book that they put that cafe shaped like the dog which is
based on a real restaurant
in the movie. Yeah.
Now I'm going to I'll put you right. I'll put you right back, Clobber. But this was actually one of the pages that Stevens did, I believe, too. And
it is. Oh my!
And we're seeing some of Fat Stevens jerking off material.
Look at that.
Actually, that's not true. Whereas this is actually a memorial article, actually, to Dave Stevens, who did pass. So actually.
But it was, yeah. No, that Airboy there wasn't Stevens, but it was a Paul Gulacy cover. I mean, it was a Paul Gulacy comic with I believe it was a Stevens cover.
I actually got to do a pinup for the new Airboy series.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
It is not my fat material, though. So I'm not gonna go with that. But like you don't get like this stuff. Like it's very of its era, like you were saying earlier, Chris, with the film. They do the same thing with the comic. And Dave Stevens, honestly, I want to pick up these and read these now because it looks great. And Clobber, you actually finally got one of the figures. You finally got in your possession.
Yes.
Really?
I it was a Walgreens exclusive from a Diamond Select thing that a buddy of mine picked up about a year and a half ago, but because of COVID and all that stuff, we only got to see each other this past Saturday when we met up at a con. And yeah, it's a beautiful figure. It's really great, And there's also a newer, those new Migos are coming out that look like the old ones, but are really nice repros. There's a Rocketeer one floating out there right now that looks really good. I would like to get.
Oh, I got to get it.
You got to talk to 24 because 24 will probably be able to hook that up and make it a great thing. I'll look out for it too. But yeah, is it like the bendable? Is it like those?
It's like a Migo, like these fancy looking. And it's Migo it's a Migo figure. They make it, and it's
it's a doll. It has joints.
Oh,
yeah,
so it's like one of those. It's one of those
clothes. Yeah.
It's one of those art dolls that you can use for sketching, but it actually has clothes and everything for it. And as you can see, that is the great.
That has to be the single most abstract description of a doll I've ever heard.
It's a doll with joints. It doesn't talk either.
It's not Amigo though. It's Migo. M-E-G-O.
I spelled it wrong. M-E-G-O.
So yeah, this is the rebooted with the great granddaughter.
Yeah, there it is right there. Yeah, buddy of mine just got that one.
That looks really cool.
The one I got a figured action.
And it says the movies.
It's based on the movie. Yeah.
And you got this delivered.
Yeah, there's the one I got just now.
Nice.
How much is that?
Wow, so nice.
Actually, no, that was a little bit different from the one I got.
And if you look very closely, you can see why it does. If you look very closely on the jetpack, you can see why it doesn't burn his legs because it shoots it away from the flames are shot away from his legs.
Yeah, but there's also you also have the on your straps to protect the bottom part.
Those are two different.
Yeah, they have actually. There's a metal plate that goes underneath that blocks the flames.
Yeah,
I love that suit so goddamn much, man.
Like right there, right, Gary? They have the little planes. This is
those are the metal plates.
Yeah.
Yep. It causes the flames to shoot out away from the body.
Funko also has characters too. They actually got rights to doing I think Funko Pops and Dorbs of the Rocketeer.
Yeah,
believe it's
I
also
had that
other
Funko
ones.
right there.
That's
the
his,
Funko.
that's Reaction, right? When they still owned the Reaction series, it was a little bit more popular. I know they cut down on
Retro
the Reaction
Funko.
figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was pretty much no one was really buying them anymore. So that's why you see them a lot in like old EB Games mystery boxes and stuff like that with Loot Crate. Because eventually people got sick of the very boring style of like, what is that? What is that? It wasn't like Lego, but it came at the same time. It wasn't Fisher Price, but it was like Playmates. Remember Playmates? They were very, very stiff, very not very like, with the arms.
yes.
They could sit down.
Yeah, if you can't pose it, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Then you got stuff like that, and that just looks fucking incredible.
Yeah, that's the one thing that we didn't really see him do in the movie was use guns. He didn't really use it until like the very end when he was fighting with the SA and the Nazi spy and everything, and trying to get his girlfriend back.
Cavalryman Shay says all Disney is doing for the Rocketeer is the 30th anniversary pins. The latest physical media offering of the movie is the 20th anniversary Blu-ray. Are you kidding me? So they're resending out
no new Blu-ray sets?
No, the Blu-rays already have it. They already have a Blu-ray out. That came on the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, no, but I want a new one.
That in the 30th, and it's going, here's some pins. I hope you like it. Like at least I hope they're redoing at least the case for it. Like at least making it like a steel book. You know what I mean? Like as a chromium finish. There's like the imprint grade of the Rocketeer mask. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Like go out of your way. It's sad that Funko can do more for a box set, like even like with Avengers or Spider-Man, than Disney can do with a 30th anniversary of something that a lot of people. I know it's a niche thing for movies that people don't know about anymore. Like you gotta.
Yeah,
go balls in or
do one with the helmet, like the helmet with the DVD of the helmet as the package.
Yeah, dude, that would be amazing. Can you imagine like actually and having like artwork and cutscenes? Like they can do all that stuff and they would just make it the whole movie case, and you can actually have a figure inside. Yeah. They don't even think about that anymore.
Basically, have the helmet, have the face of the helmet for the cover.
Yeah,
there is a limited edition steelbook cover that looks really good.
We're gonna have to find this for people. Bitty. Like,
yeah, there's a oh, sadly it's not on sale.
Nice. I mean, I love the figure I just got, but I'd like to get this one too.
Yeah. So yeah, there is.
I have been a legitimate Mego fan since 1972.
Oh yeah. Oh cool. Love Mego.
There was a limited edition steel cover that looked really good. It had kind of like the comic cover to the front of it. Unfortunately, it's not on sale anymore. It's not on sale.
And for those wondering, these are Migos. You probably can recognize a lot of them because they were probably used in Robot Chicken. So if you see these here, you probably know where the actual aesthetic of those characters using Robot Chicken come from. That Aang is creepy as fuck, though. What the?
Oh dear God!
That's
not a
stare. Look at the. Oh wait. Then there's Bruce Lee, who look.
What a twist!
Why is he wearing grandpa pants?
He's not.
What a twist!
What a twist! But like the Q one even looks not bad. And then just fuck off.
These are of course new Migos.
I'm just like I'm expecting them to start doing a Robot Chicken sketch now.
Yeah, if you go back to look at some of the classic Migos like Captain Kirk and Spock from when I was a kid, they really look nothing like the actors.
I still have a couple of them.
You do.
Yeah, they're not in great shape though. Those things don't age well. I mean, they're pretty messed up.
Wait, is that Steven Seagal? No, it's too thin. All right, that's not me. Good night, Dad Man Walking. I hope you have fun with the fam tonight, and I'm glad you're back from vacation.
Take care, Dad Man.
Nearsighted Cyclops says her style is often copied, but really, do they come close to the OG Betty? No. I don't think anyone can actually be Betty Page at this point. She is one of those girls.
I keep on hearing Betty, and I keep on thinking Betty Boop.
No, Betty Boop was a black and white.
And I keep thinking Betty from the, and I think Betty from the Archies.
Or Betty
I think
White.
Betty from the Flintstones. So we're all Betty all over the
Betty White.
Betty White. We got all kind of Bettys.
You have a lot of Bettys.
Oh, Black Betty.
Wasn't there
monetization? Then we had the fly. No, I'm just being funny. I'm trying to be funny. But if you guys could recommend,
Shoe Fly, don't bother me.
Betty Boop was based on a person too. Yes, she was. I can't remember the actual person, but I do remember it was.
It was a black actress singer, wasn't it?
Could be.
Kylock wants to ask if Ben Grimm, the Thing, says clobbering time. Would the female version say it's slobbering time?
Well, she never did when there was Sharon Ventura as the She Thing, so I don't know.
Only when she's having a stroke.
There was one, so.
Right, cool. But I don't know where do you guys want to go next with this? Because all I can say is I love this movie. I can rewatch it again. I can't watch it every day, but it's something that I can at least blow 2 hours on. And Timothy Dalton was perfect as the villain.
Brilliant.
Oh, he was so fun.
He was my favorite James Bond.
Okay,
Mine too. Mine too, man. And you don't hear that from too many people.
Hey, License to Kill.
Real quick. Betty Boop.
Keith also loves him.
I do too, and so does Michael at Retro Blasting. We're like there are 4 of us now. We're building an army for Timothy Dalton.
The 4 of us should do a show about Bond with Timothy Dalton.
Actually, there's a Iconicon virtual can for Retro Blasting next week. I'm going to be on that panel for it.
So real quick, Betty Boop is based off of a jazz singer named Helen Kane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
that's it. Yes.
Excellent.
And she was black, wasn't she?
Nope, she's white.
Huh.
I'm canceled. Thanks a lot. Fucking minutes. That's great.
She's the singer. She's the signature singer of the song "I Want to Be Loved by You."
Mm.
Oh yeah, the one Ginger Grant used to sing all the time.
Yep.
On Gilligan's Island. Wow.
Yep.
Nice.
I do miss those hats. I think the way this movie ended for Timothy was perfect. The fact that I love the scene where he's just he has that oh shit moment and he nailed the face so perfectly.
Yes.
All I hear is who brought the marshmallows? And it's you're done.
What about how the henchman died in the very end when he's
nice.
Yeah.
I love that our hero pulls the piece of Beecham gum or beech nut gum.
Oh yeah, Beeman's gum.
Yeah.
Beeman's, love it.
So good.
Oh wow! Where do they keep this? Where do they actually keep this still?
It's probably in a
Walt Disney Archives. Walt Disney Archives.
Probably.
Yeah, it says right there. But yeah, that's the actual jetpack. I believe props they used it. And there's the bullet hole, the ricochet bullet hole that they had to use for the beach gum, as Gary was stating earlier.
Who's ready for a heist?
Not really. Please don't insinuate.
He was sort of the Rocketeer was kind of a stand-in for us for Boba Fett until we got another Boba Fett thing. Because he really reminded a lot of guys like me of Boba Fett with the helmet and the flying with the rocket and shit.
Who knows? Maybe Boba Fett was inspired a little bit from the Rocketeer. More than likely, it was because there are a lot of elements.
I don't think so. Boba Fett was first designed in '78.
Yeah, but Rocketeer has his early startings in the 1950s.
That would be Commando Cody and some of those Rocket Man series.
Yeah, that's a little different, and it might have been inspired by it the same way the Rocketeer was inspired.
The Rocketeer gives me more of a Han Solo feel with the way he has the pose, holding the gun. If he wasn't wearing a helmet, he'd pretty much shot.
And he's got a broom handle 1899 Mauser like Han Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do I look? Like a hood ornament. I love that line.
What are we seeing here that we're sharing on screen?
The gentleman I told you about that saved Dave Stevens from the lawsuit is a friend of mine who has this is the IDW Rocketeer. It's it's like artist editions, and I love artist editions. I can't really afford them; they're very expensive. But our good dear buddy Mark C had tons of them. He loved them. He had this one as well. So just a couple of picks from that. Some beautiful. These things are the size of an
Wow.
actual comics page.
Are you
Nice.
serious?
So nice.
Yeah, they're gigantic. I mean, they're the size of an actual comics page.
Are they all black and white?
Well, yeah, all artists.
Oh, that's perfect. Because Loki would love
When you say that, you mean 11 by 17?
Yeah, they just take the original art and they they take it as it is. As you can see that's the original art from the comic, and then they copy it, of course, but in the size of the original art. Yes, they call it IDW.
Oh, awesome!
Wait, stop on that page a second, because I want to quickly. I'll bring you right back. But as you were showing that dog, there's the dog right there on the side. There's the plane, and you can see it all.
Oh yeah, nice.
There's the big pipe.
The trees around are a little bit of an obstruction to him flying away.
It's trees, dude. The cornfield, for God's sakes. Literally, the guy finds him in the mud. He's like, "That was fun. Let's do that again." And then they go into that truck scene, and literally, he turns his truck into the DeLorean car to the future. Yeah,
a rocket car.
I only have a couple of the artist editions. I got a couple of the Kirby ones and stuff like that because they're kind of expensive. But this one is a beautiful one. And again, it's like having the origin. It's just like having the original art.
What is she doing with her hands?
What do
you think she's doing with her hand? Oh yeah, right there. If you like the line work,
Stevens is there. That's him drawing himself. He was brilliant. And a really nice guy too. This was just such a shame he passed so young. So.
Yeah. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we start wrapping up the show? We've almost been going an hour and a half, and I know.
Well, I wanted to go over the history of just real quick of what happened to Errol Flynn in real life.
Sure.
And the shared history of his son Sean, because his when I was a kid, my favorite thing to read was war books, and one of my first books was called Dispatches by Michael Hare.
Okay.
And one of the main characters in that book, it's a biographical book, was my boss, Dale Dye. He's a featured character in the book, as well as Sean Flynn, Errol Flynn's son. And he followed in his dad's footsteps in two ways. One, he tried his bit at acting, but that kind of swashbuckling action films just didn't do well. So Sean quit acting and went into being a correspondent like his dad did during the Spanish Civil War. And he went to Vietnam. And it's featured in the book that he and another correspondent took off one day to cover a battle and were never heard from again.
No way.
Which was heartbreaking for Errol, that his son disappeared somewhere in Vietnam and Cambodia and was presumed to have been captured and murdered.
Oh, shit. Are you serious?
Wow.
Yeah. And I've always wanted to write a screenplay about both of them because both of them were very swashbuckling guys in real life.
Yeah, the mother had him declared dead in 1984.
Yep.
Rugo, sorry.
Because they were never going to find his body. They were never going to find it.
They never were, no.
Rugo Betta says, these streams are great. I enjoyed the Batman 1989 retrospect as well. Yeah, me too. But go on, Gary. Sorry for cutting you off.
Oh, that's okay. I just wanted to say that Errol Flynn was not the real villain that they show in the film, but damn it, Sinclair is a great villain.
Yes, absolutely.
And I love that he's based on Errol Flynn. I love that.
All right. I want to do one quick thing because I put it on Twitter, but I want to share it here because I did put a lot of work in this, and I think this is the best way to kind of sum up without getting hit. But here we go. Watch your ears.
Something under your seat. 9. I wouldn't touch it. 8. I will not rocket it. 7. Just want to borrow 6. We're gonna get ourselves killed. 5. They got my girl. 4. Stand clear. 3, 2, 1. Blast off with a Rocketeer.
You know, that's how you remember the Rocketeer mostly, when you remember those old types of promotionals.
What a great movie.
With the
one of my favorites.
narrator.
Yep, one of my favorite movies. Just a wonderful film.
Now, before we actually start wrapping up, unless anyone else has something else to add, I want to go around the panel. I'd like to thank you guys for all being here. And I want you guys to say your favorite part of the film itself, and then we're going to close out. Is that good with you guys? I don't want to stress you with a hard question. So we'll start with Gary since he's on the left.
Right. Well, it's very simple. I mentioned it earlier. The cabana scene is absolutely one of my favorite. Action. It's got a mixture of action and comedy in it, which took me back to the classic films of Abbott and Costello and Bob Hope and Bing Crosby. I love that cabana scene. Just good stuff. A lot of slapstick mixed in.
Yeah.
All right. And Chris, what about you?
Well, I mean, I stated earlier, I love the feeling of the time. I like how it feels like you're in the 1930s, where the film is taking place. So, yeah.
All right. That's a cool answer. Then we're on to Jace. What about you?
A lot the same as Chris, but I also think one of my favorite scenes is when they're when they're shooting, to the film and stuff, and the main character, yeah.
Oh, during the movie making scene, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes, and and the ending when the bad guy, takes the jetpack on and just like shit. So good.
I find that funny. I find it funny, like when they had the co-actor, the kind of like, you literally stabbed me.
You think I was? Did you think I was stealing the scene?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good scene.
And now Clobberin, who has had the most history in helping me today. I do appreciate your time today.
Oh, dude, I just enjoyed it. I love this film. It's a pleasure talking about it. It's so tough to pick a favorite. There's so many wonderful things. I think I have to say, though, at the end, I like the big confrontation scene at Griffin's Observatory, but I think in particular that way that music, again, this film is so well directed, that when Cliff puts on the rocket back, he sees them leaving, in the Zeppelin, and the FBI's guys, Ed Lauder is always cool. The FBI's got, we're losing him. The other guy sees Cliff running up there, goes, maybe not. And then he goes up there. He puts it's the corniest thing in the world, but I love it. He puts on everything on. He holsters his gun. He gets ready to fly up. You see the American flag there, right out of the Dave Stevens comics, and he just burst into the air. And Paul Sorvino, the quote unquote one of the bad guys of the piece, even though it was so cool when he says, "I may not make an honest buck, but I'm 100% American. I don't work for no two-bit Nazi." And when he fights alongside the FBI guys, when he sees him fly up there, he's just the inspirational mix of that music and the bit when Paul Sorvino says, "Go get him, kid." It's probably my favorite bit. Although the ending's pretty great too, with that wonderful music when
Yeah. Back when America was so great, even the criminals wanted to be American only.
Yeah.
Love that.
And
scene.
the funny thing is this movie could have been so cheesy, but it wasn't because Johnston did such a good job directing it.
Absolutely.
I think it was slightly cheesy, but just cheesy in the right way.
So you basically are supporting what I just said. Because it was good. It wasn't cheesy bad. It was cheesy good.
Yes.
Yes. It was wholesome. It was, it was perfect mix. Again, not hyper violent at the time. Movies, they don't have a fairly good bit of hyper violent stuff out there, and this one was. That's why I was surprised it did not do as well. I could not believe it, because you didn't talk to one person that didn't really enjoy it when they saw it at the theater. I don't understand how it didn't do better.
Sadly, the movie came out like 2 months before I was born. So,
yeah.
I would like to close out with saying I think my favorite scene was the gangsters in the restaurant saying, "Oh, I would love some coffee," slamming against the wall. "Oh, I hate music. I would love this song," shoots the music box. And just the whole the intimidation precedent they were pushing and trying to go back with the gangster feel, or like just having like your cronies all over the place. It felt like it felt the way Disney used to deliver that type of style when it came to like even Darkwing Duck or Scrooge McDuck's the three criminals, like the brothers. I can't remember their names, but it was the same type of feel.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
No. The Scrooge, but the villains, they were the three little cronies. They're always trying to steal his treasure, and they're always the one with the red shirt.
I gotcha.
And the masks. I can never remember their name, but that was great. And what?
Give me a second.
And the cornfield, and the cornfield was pretty much my favorite. Just getting in and getting out, and literally scaring the shit out of PV in the truck when he was like, "I don't want to die right now," and all I'm doing is holding the steering wheel in a very straight fashion.
You know, one of the problems also for Rocketeer at that time was it was released right around the. You know, it wasn't in the theaters long before Terminator 2 came out and annihilated everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
The Beagle Boys.
That's it, the Beagle Boys, yeah, because they had the same type of. They gave me the same type of feel. And
I want to add one more thing about Alan Arkin. Nobody says the name Cliff or Clifford the way Alan Arkin does in that movie.
He does.
This is Alan.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I want to thank all you guys for showing up. I know everyone's been having a busy week. It's been a busy month for a lot of people with real life work, contracts, and all that stuff. But I appreciate you guys giving your time. I want to thank my mods for showing up, the people participating in the chat, the super chats that were donated. I appreciate everything tonight. I want you guys all to have a great night. And we're going to end it with, well, how I always end it. Me crying, you not hearing it. And a whole lot of this.